Now we'll move into the chapter trigonometry. Okay. In some books, in some VCE books, they call this chapter circular function, but their circular function and trigonometry basically are the same thing. Okay. Trigonometry. Okay. Before I start, I would like to do some revision on your year 10 trigonometry stuff. Okay, first thing I have to introduce some year 10, maybe year 9 terminologies. I think you guys learned them in year 9. Okay, say if I have a right angle triangle, I label one angle, say alpha, and the other angle theta. Okay, the longest length, say, and this length A, the base A, and the height B. Okay, and there actually is a relationship between the sides, the three sides of the triangle, which is our Pythagoras theory. The length of A square plus the length of B square equals to the length of C square. This is your Pythagoras theory standard formula. And also you have to learn some terminology of the hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite. Okay. The hypotenuse of a triangle is always the longest line. Say here, the hypotenuse is always the longest line in a right angle triangle, okay, which is always opposite to the right angle. It's the hypotenuse. Okay, now the adjacent line and the opposite line changes depend on the angle. For instance, the adjacent, okay, I use A for adjacent, capital letter A for adjacent, and capital letter O represents opposite. Okay. So the adjacent of angle alpha is the side A. Okay. Adjacent is always be the line that next to the hypotenuse and the angle. Okay. It's okay. Or I can say the angle is between the hypotenuse and the adjacent. So the adjacent of alpha is A, but the adjacent of angle theta is B, because hypotenuse and the side B, the line B, actually makes the angle theta, so the adjacent of theta is B. Okay. Similarly, opposite is the line opposite to the angle. The opposite of alpha, the opposite line of alpha is B. Okay, because as we can see, the opposite line of B of angle alpha is the side B. Okay, and similarly, the opposite of theta, angle theta, is A. As what we can say, side A is opposite to the angle. Okay, so in summary, hypotenuse is always the longest line in a right angle triangle, but adjacent and opposite line changes depending on the angle. Okay. Now we can say now, well, this is year 10 stuff, and here is also year 10 stuff. Sine of an angle, sine of any angle is equals to the the opposite of the angle divided by the hypotenuse. Okay. Cos of an angle is equals to the adjacent line divided by the hypotenuse. Okay. The tangent of an angle is equals to the opposite divided by adjacent, or we can say it is equals to the rise over run. Okay. How much it rises in the triangle, or the height of triangle divided by the base. Okay. Okay, so this is really year 10 stuff. So if you don't understand that, you won't. It's very difficult for you to understand the math method, trigonometry. Okay. So I do a brief explanation. I do an example here. So for instance, sine alpha of that is equals to the opposite on hypotenuse. The opposite is b on the hypotenuse c. Okay. And cos alpha equals to adjacent on hypotenuse. The adjacent of angle alpha is a there, and it's a divided by c. So hypotenuse never changes. So tangent alpha equals to tangent alpha equals to the opposite on adjacent, which is b on a, or rise over run. So how much it rises in a triangle and how much it moved horizontally in a triangle. So it's b on a. Okay, same way. Similarly, we can say I have to introduce another formula. Tangent of an angle equals to sine of the same angle, okay, divided by cos of that angle. Okay. This is just a formula you have to remember. Tangent of the tangent is equals to sine on cos. Okay. Well, I do another example. Say if we have the sine of angle theta is equals to the opposite line of angle theta divided by hypotenuse, which is a on c, and the cos theta is the adjacent on hypotenuse. Adjacent of theta is b on c. Okay, the hypotenuse is c. Tangent of theta equals to rise over run, or tangent of the theta is equals to rise over run, or the opposite over adjacent. So let's look at the tangent. Let's look at the angle theta. The rise against angle theta is a, and the run against angle theta is b. Also, okay, so we can write it as a divided by b, well, also the opposite of angle theta is a, and the adjacent of angle theta is b, so it's both ways similar. A is the same, a divided by b, and well, you decide which way is more comfortable to use. Okay, those are the standard knowledge you have to know before I start with math method trigonometry chapter. Okay. Um, okay.